those manual processes will be fundamentally rewritten. And I think AI has a huge role to play in transforming how that work is done. It's not enough knowing about the lead itself. There's also a trigger that should come into play, telling you that this organization is ready to buy. There's kind of a new function coming into play here, which you could dub something like GTM engineering. The whole purpose of that is to drive velocity. If you can move faster than your competitors, then you have a competitive edge.
Welcome back to the B2B Sales Blueprint by Firmable. I'm your host, Paul, co-founder and CEO at Firmable. Each episode, we talk to operators, business leaders, founders, entrepreneurs, revenue leaders about what actually drives B2B growth. The decisions, the experiments, the scars, the lessons learned, the successes, the high fives, the moments that you wanted to curl up in the corner. We try to cover it all. That's what we're about, really practical advice and reflections on what actually moves the needle. So today we're continuing our series from Singapore and really excited to have Rakesh Patney in the studio with me today. He has built businesses from scratch. He's exited them. He's advised Global 500 tech companies on AI and go-to-market and business transformation strategies. I think you're a 3-time founder with exits in consumer.
Primarily in consumer, yes.
Yeah. Consumer, B2B tech. You were a former director at IDC.
Yeah, that's right.
Where you led AI and automation research across Asia Pac and Japan. And now you're doing a whole bunch of advisory work.
Correct.
And very in demand from what I understand. So great to have you. What have I missed in that bio? You've got everything. Are we done now?
That's very kind. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and obviously great to learn more about Firmable as well, and the exciting journey you're on. And I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Awesome. So you've been a founder, an operator, an advisor across multiple industries. So take us back to the beginning. What drew you into entrepreneurship, and what were the key moments that kind of shaped you, I guess?
So I guess there's a very simple answer to that. I was drawn into entrepreneurship simply because I was born in a business family.
Right. Okay.
And so my father was a business owner, my grandfather, great-grandfather. So we can trace our legacy back to, over 100 years ago. And it was almost expectation that you follow in your father's footsteps. So after I finished high school at 17, I was accepted to the London School of Economics to read economics. And instead of doing that, I was asked to go to India and work in a factory there to apprentice for 3 years to learn our trade, which was a commodities business, a diamond trade. Yeah. So from an American international school, I went to a factory in India, and not recommended.
So you
quite an experience.
So you could have been in London,
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I did my undergrad in India.
Was that your choice, or was?
I guess. It was the expectation, so that's what I did, and I thought that I could be a successful entrepreneur, that I'll launch my own business, which I did at the age of 21.
Yep.
And the motivation was probably to make a bucket load of cash as quickly as possible. Because at 21, what else do you know, right?
Yeah.
But also, it was that was the trade that we were in, and that's where we were expected to go. Yeah.
Okay. And so then, and then what happened next?
So I basically ran that business. It was a very cash generative business. So cash flows were very strong, and I ran that for 10 years. And I walked away at the end of that with a good reputation. It was hardcore sales because it's trading. And brokering deals with between very large companies. And I did that for 10 years, and it was a baptism of fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what an amazing background. So
yeah, that's right. And I think that's probably where I picked up some of my very important early learnings, which were how important it was to build relationships with your customers and to really understand. It took me a while. I think, 21, 22, 23, when I was starting out, I was really I was just finding my place. But as I matured in the business, and I scaled that up to about $35-40 million in sales. So as I matured in that, I really understood that to scale and to build relationships with the well-established companies, I really had to understand their business. I had to understand their pain points. And then I had to make sure that I had an offering that I could deliver to them, but also it's not a one-off thing. It's something that we're doing repeat. It's the long-term value creation comes from being able to repeat that business again and again.
And it sounds like you learn a lot about sales and selling at that point.
Yes.
Like, what is the one or two kind of big things you learned at the coalface, I guess, as it were, back then? So
I think it was the business. The nature of that business was very much trust. So one of the first things that needed to be cultivated was a trust between the parties involved, and without that trust, you're not getting anywhere. So being seen as somebody who's reliable, has high integrity, and who is who's honest and somebody you can trust. That is that builds the foundation for any successful business. When your customers perceive you in that way.
Yeah.
And that's where I think I put a lot of focus, and somebody who's reliable and dependable.
And I suspect that's probably defined your approach to business over the next 20 years or so.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So so I mean, from there, I've that was a very sales heavy role, but then I've done I've led e-commerce businesses, and I had joined a venture capital backed technology company in London for a little while, and then Augmented that came after that. It was a B2B SaaS startup. I mean, that original sales kind of knowledge has been compounded with marketing and like digital marketing strategy and all of the pieces then come together, as that journey evolves.
And so tell me about Augmented. So that was kind of, we were chatting about it before, it was kind of business workflow. There was AI before AI in a sense. So even though it wasn't that long ago, right? So
So Augmented was around 2020. And I came across Augmented through my co-founder, and who was working on very interesting AR VR technologies. And it was the idea was to how can we augment frontline operators and frontline technicians to do their jobs better? And using some kind of AR overlay on how to complete maintenance tasks and so on. So the idea evolved from that into actually building a platform. So we were trying to build a low-code, no-code platform that would help frontline operations digitize their entire workflow. And one of the incredible things is how manual some of those processes are. It is absolutely wild. So we were in conversations with a potential customer. It was a Hong Kong bus company, and they were asking us, how do we digitize these MRO operations that we have? It's like they have thousands of buses, So we get a meeting with their director of operations, and we're like, okay, but before that meeting, can you send us your workflow? Send us your processes, so we can have a look at that, and then we can map that into some kind of application that we can deploy for you. Well, they sent us 3 photos, and the first photo was a scrap of paper with the grease marks on it with a handwritten note, mentioning the bus number, the part number, and so on, and the license plate. And then they sent us another photo, which was it was a monitor with some kind of archaic Windows 95 kind of Excel sheet or something. And my co-founder and I just looked over each other, and it was like, surely not. Surely they're not doing all of this manually on pen and paper. Wow. And then this paper goes off to this data entry person who's kind of typing it in and manually. It was like they probably lost at least half of their data in that process. And we're like, well, we can build an application for you for that, And I mean, ultimately, they wanted a local kind of delivery team and everything like that. We were way too early for that. We were I think we weren't even a year old at that point in time. But it really gave us an opportunity to understand those type of conversations really show you like what customers' pain points are. like the digital revolution kind of just passed them by, and they needed a lot of support.
It's
Yeah,
and we're going to talk a lot more about this later, but I think it's fascinating and sales is like this, like it's this whole series of little discrete tasks and how you think about automating sales and marketing. Like there's a bit of systems thinking about it. So your background in actually kind of it augmented and the way you thought about businesses, that must be such a helpful framing for when you need to think about go to market. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's right. So when we're redesigning processes, we're trying to look at an end-to-end solution and like how do we make all the decisions that are that are in that process optimized, and like you want to drive velocity basically. You want to make more decisions, better decisions, smarter decisions, faster decisions, and that's really the kind of idea behind it. So when you think about it from a GTM perspective, if you're thinking about it from outbound, right? It's there are a lot of, if you think about legacy roles, right? Like what is the SDR doing? They're like trying to find leads and like trying to put together data from random sources, and then they're trying to provide some context. Then they're doing some outreach based on that, and so on. And I think with the new platforms and new technologies that are coming into place, those manual processes will be fundamentally rewritten. And I think AI has a huge role to play in kind of transforming how that work is done. It also transforms how, what the essential role of each stakeholder in that is. Like SDR's role changes and AE's role changes and so on. Like it evolves into something slightly different.
So I've got about 6 questions there, but I'm gonna park that for just a second because I want to unpack before we get into that. So you then ended up at IDC.
Yeah, that's right.
So talk us through that transition and then what your role was at IDC.
Yeah, so I was just coming out of Augmented. The idea at Augmented was to drive digitized operations, like essentially data-driven operations. And IDC, I met the MD of IDC, and they had a program called the Future of Operations, and they wanted me to cover data-driven operations and especially around the energy industry as well, which was a bit left field for me. But the concept was basically what we were doing at Augmented, right? And through that, I joined the firm. Then I did a lot of thought leadership work for them, for some of the biggest technology companies out there. So we worked with Lenovo, Dell, SAS, Fujitsu, ServiceNow, and so on. And they would come to us to help them hone their GTM strategy and their GTM narrative, especially on how to kind of go into market for specific regions or specific industries.
And then this was, I guess, just as the AI wave was breaking as well, right? So that you must have had like almost like an inside seat in these large organizations. Correct. while their heads were spinning and they were grappling about. So talk us through. You must have had some amazing conversations during that period.
Yeah, that's right. And so I got moved from the FOO piece to the AI work because we had to really scale that business up internally, and we really had a front row seat on with ChatGPT, the new models that were coming out, the platforms, and it was kind of like redefining a lot of like how do you kind of communicate all of these changes in terms of what the customers are actually looking for in terms of redesigning their business processes or their use cases, and instead of having a generic use case, can we make this an AI enabled use case? And there was a whole kind of a churn, a very sudden kind of tipping point where there was like the pre-LLM world and the post-LLM world, and then suddenly everybody wanted to talk about was LLMs.
Suddenly you got a lot of phone calls.
Yeah, and at the tail end of that, it was around AI agents.
Yeah.
Right? Because then the LLMs enable this agentic piece where it's not just about summarization or data analysis. but it's also about tool use.
Yep.
And actually getting AI agents to perform work. And I think that's also going to be very transformative. I think we're in the very early days of that.
Yes.
But
yeah.
I think that's going to change how people work.
And you've seen, I guess organisations that are doing this well, and I won't ask you to, kind of name names, but what are the characteristics at an enterprise level? And we'll talk about smaller businesses in a second, but what are the characteristics at an enterprise level that help businesses, I guess, harness the power of AI and navigate it well and, embed it? And what's the secret sauce there?
There are huge variations in the digital maturity of organizations. So I actually wrote a white paper on enterprise AI transformation. It's essentially what I call the AI operating system. And it's kind of anchored in 4 pillars, right? And the first pillar is around, getting your foundations right. So, do you have the right type of architecture in terms of hybrid cloud, or, are you cloud native? Are you do you have the right data pipelines, data management capabilities? Do you have the right models, the right platforms? And then the second piece around that is the execution intelligence, and which is, do you have the ability to then use those foundations to redesign how you do things? So you're changing essentially your processes, and you're redesigning your teams as well.
Yep.
There's a people aspect to it. The third is governance.
Yeah.
Can you scale AI internally at scale?
Yep.
And can you build the guardrails so that the AI doesn't go loose and cause disruption within the organization? And the fourth part of it is the human capital and culture. And do you have the right people on board? And I think a lot of organizations actually struggle with the culture piece more than the technology piece, because they don't have the right skills internally, and they don't have the right, they're not organized in the right way internally to actually drive AI transformation within the organization. And then there's a fifth element which cuts across all of this, which is tying its value realization. Can you put all of this together and make it so that it delivers ROI to the organization? And I think a lot of companies try a lot of POCs. There was an MIT study where 95% of AI pilots are failing. And they're failing because they don't have these pillars in place, and they're not tying it to business outcomes. So if you're doing a pilot and you're not tying it to some kind of business process redesign, and you're not enabling your people and incentivizing your people to actually adopt that technology, the POC is never going to make it to production.
Yeah, particularly in a complex kind of global enterprise, I guess. It's very
correct. Correct, that's right, yeah.
So I guess kind of moving gears, and you've got this amazing framework of having done it in enterprises, and now I know you're talking a lot to companies about how to do that in a go-to-market context. So how is AI going to change go-to-market and sales organizations? Or how has it changed them, I guess, and where are the opportunities?
Well, I think in a way the new tools and platforms that have become available over the last 5 to 7 years have really made life simpler in a way, because there's just much greater availability of data.
Yep.
And that data really kind of course, the data has to be. The quality of the data is the most important thing. Is the data being sourced from the right sources?
Yep.
And I think this is where you guys come
preaching
in.
to the converted here.
The data quality is essential, and I think the organizations that get that right are really on a winning. It's a winning formula.
It's like a foundational layer. That's the way we think about it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we've got this foundational layer, and then if you think of this stack, you've got that the data generation piece, which is identifying the leads.
Yep.
Then you're putting that through a data enrichment layer as well, and then from the data enrichment, you're doing some analysis on kind of understanding. Okay, how do we prioritize these targets? I think signals is a very big game changer that's going to become very prevalent.
What do you mean by signals?
So it's not enough knowing about the lead itself and enriching the data around the lead in terms of what the company is doing and where what their pain points are, where they're operating. But there's also a trigger that should come into play, that should be factored in, which is telling you that this organization is ready to buy your technology.
So you've got your ICP, your set of customers you want to sell to.
Yes.
So who within that is most likely and ready to buy? So almost prioritizing. Is that the way to think about it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So those signals become critical. So it could be, for example, somebody changes their role, or they put up a posting that they're hiring half a dozen SDRs because they're looking to scale their business. That becomes a very powerful signal for organizations to then kind of, initiate contact, right? So an AI agent could then pass all that information and then recommend a personalized message based on the title of the person, the company they're operating, the industry they operate in, the buying signal. And then that personalized message, then then you have your outbound, and then that obviously that feeds into then some kind of interaction with the customers, that feeds back into your CRM, and you can like start to automate that entire process.
So you're very obviously a systems thinker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and I think our view of go-to-market is it's increasingly a system that you build and architect. It's like a product.
That's exactly right.
I like the analogy that you're building a go-to-market product, if you like.
Yes.
So who's the, and I think you and I would be in violent agreement about that, but who's the architect of, like if you're in an organization, is the CRO the architect? Who's the architect of this system?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I'm not sure. I think the CRO is probably at a more strategic level. But if you're looking at the actual mechanics of it, then I think there's kind of a new function coming into play here, which you could dub something like GTM engineering.
Yeah.
And the GTM engineer is somebody who's specifically looking at a set of processes and looking at how to drive automation in that process.
Yeah.
So, and a GTM engineer would be using something like an NA10. To not only bring in all of these tools and platforms together, but then really have kind of a seamless handoff of data and actions that are happening as the data moves through that workflow, right? And it should trigger actions. It should trigger tasks within your CRM, for example. So that role becomes very critical, because then mapping that workflow and actually getting it working is not a trivial task to get all those systems and tools to talk to each other and have your data still intact.
It's really interesting, this whole topic of go-to-market engineers. It's very trendy at the moment, as we both know. I think one of my reflections on it is, I think people understand go-to-market engineers to mean lots of different things. And I think, when it first kind of emerged, a year or two ago, when kind of Clay started to really popularize that movement, it was almost what I think was commonly understood by it was, how do I automate campaigns? It was almost like a campaign automation. I need a go-to-market engineer to help me build an automated campaign, which is one element to it. But I actually think there's what you were describing is actually a go-to-market engineer who works on the internal kind of part of the business. And it's
a pipeline.
Yeah, exactly. And they're kind of related but somewhat separate skills, actually. That's kind of in my experience a little bit.
Yeah. I think the GTM the GTM engineer is building the plumbing.
Yes.
They're building the pipeline.
Yeah.
And the core idea is to have the data move through that pipeline.
Yeah.
And then generate tasks.
Yeah.
And either the agent is populating something in the CRM, or they're actually initiating some outbound, or that pipeline is absolutely critical. And the whole purpose of that is to drive velocity.
Yep.
If you can move faster than your competitors, then you have a competitive edge. And I think as agents become more prevalent, we have we could have, like, for example, 100 agents for every salesperson in the organization. The scope of that agentic AI transformation and the ability for it to use tools, the scale of that will actually compound over time. So if you're looking into the future, the CRO's role will not only be looking at managing their SDRs, their AEs, and the sales and marketing function, but they have a responsibility to integrate a digital workforce. And so it's a hybrid human AI workforce. That's the future of GTM. Yeah.
There's a lot there. So I guess
yes.
What I struggle with, and I think, I think a lot of sales leaders do, is how do I understand what an agent is, and and where do I start? How do I think about building one? Do I buy a platform? Maybe let's start really foundational. So for me, how do I understand what an agent is, and how do I think about the scope of a task that you should set an agent to do? So,
well, I think I think in the early stages it should be relatively simple.
So it's a little very task level.
It's at the task level.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the example that I would use.
Yeah.
It's like you've done the data, you've done the lead gen piece.
Yep.
You've done the data enrichment.
Yep.
You're doing that. You've done some AI analysis on it.
Yeah.
You've identified the top prospect.
Yeah.
And then you don't want suddenly a massive dump in your CRM, because then you have all of these opportunities which may or may not be qualified, and you don't know too much about them, but you want the AI agent to trigger certain tasks within the CRM for your top potential opportunities, and then only populate those in the CRM. Otherwise, the CRM
becomes a mess. Yep,
it can become so messy. It can be a disaster because it's very hard to undo it and unwind it, right? So you want to qualify. You want that agent to perform some sort of task,
some discrete task.
Yeah, and then you want that, and then you want it to create the task within the CRM.
Yep.
That's either going, and it's also deciding where it's going to. Is it going to an SDR? Is it going to an AE? Who's it going to? And what are they supposed to do with it? And so it's prescriptive.
Yeah, exactly. So I can kind of see there's obviously agents you can do around data enrichment. And so what are the other areas that you think AI can make? So one of the areas that we're having a lot of success with is the ability to synthesize calls and customer engagements now that everything's been recorded, and produce coaching frameworks and analytics. And is that an area that you think AI has potential in?
Well, I guess AI is already doing that, right? I mean, we're using AI for transcription, for summarization. I mean, again, if you've built the right workflow for that, as soon as you have as soon as you've completed a meeting, there are always 3 or 4 items at the end which are okay to do.
Yep.
Paul needs to do this, Rakesh needs to do that, and then there should be an automation.
So that's a very simple task meeting, task creation. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I mean, I think it's already happening in a way. Was there another evolution that you're talking about?
I guess what we've struggled with a little bit is how you pull together interactions across a whole deal life cycle, and then how you go, okay, and then let's get really specific around, we were doing some, we've just rolled out MedPick, and your ability to, so a big unlock for us was historically as a sales leader, if you were coaching to that, you'd listen to all the calls, you'd score them, you'd have a conversation with your rep. Now you have the ability for AI to ingest all of that, to score against them and kind of evaluate against MedPick. And I can look at a deal, a summary of a deal, and I skim that in 2 minutes, and then I just go straight and have the conversation with the rep. And it's the kind of the ability to coach and reinforce, that's one thing that's been a big unlock for us.
You could design an AI coaching agent based on the
exactly. That's exactly where I was going.
But I have to say that sales is a human thing. I would be reticent to hand that over fully to an AI, because I think sales is about people.
No,
so like until we get to the stage where AI has evolved, where the AI is doing the selling and AI is doing the buying, and there's like no people involved anywhere. It's
completely.
Yeah. So I think that human piece is still
but what it does, relevant. But it gives you human leverage, though, right? So you can rather than spending half an hour reviewing the call and then having a 5-minute discussion, you have a
you can send the notes. The AI has already done the analysis. You send the notes and say, we're going to have a 10-minute discussion about this. And then again, the AI is a lever for velocity.
Yep.
It's like you can basically drive higher levels of velocity, productivity, and sometimes it's insight. Like the AI picks up things that we don't pick up, and like the way it summarizes notes,
Completely.
are like, wow, I didn't even think about that.
No, I didn't even really hear that in the conversation.
Yeah, the LLMs have been trained on all the information that's available digitally in the world.
Yeah,
and the way that they analyze information and provide suggestions and provide information, it's so comprehensive. I mean, of course, being mindful of the hallucinations and the rest of it. The new generation of LLMs are just absolutely phenomenal.
And so we're in this new era of AI go-to-market. How does, I guess, two questions. First of all, how does that change the type of rep who you would hire? What do you look for anything differently than you used to look for?
Yeah, so I've always had a kind of I don't know if it's a distinct or peculiar view like on hiring people, but I think there's certain characteristics of a good hire, right? So I would, the first thing I look for is attitude.
Yep.
Right. And the second thing I look for is a love for learning.
Yeah.
Right. And coachability. Right. If they have a great attitude and they have a love for learning, the skills are kind of secondary. Like I'd rather have somebody like that who's just fresh out of university than somebody who spent 10 years at a bank and has a certain way of doing things and thinks that's their only way of doing things.
Yeah.
And that attitude and that love of learning is a winning combination.
Yeah.
And the thing is that when you apply that to a sales context, of course you want a little bit of kind of the extrovert type, somebody who's like, who has a natural affinity to working with people and so on, right? But because AI is changing what we do, how we do it, that person, if they the right attitude and a love for learning, is an adaptable person, they'll grow with the role. They'll adapt. They'll change how they operate, and they'll learn how to make the most of their AI.
Yeah, it feels like the great learners, curious reps, have the ability to supercharge their. Like that's one of the theories we have, that it's the great, your ability to overperform as a rep. I think in this world of AI, you're at this kind of unique period of time where actually those that get really good at leveraging themselves and everything, the technology, can do really well. Yeah,
I think those who have that adaptability, they are essentially the ones who they have a superpower, and the AI is just another way of.
Just another tool.
It's another tool, and it's a massive unlock in terms of productivity and the speed at which they can do things, and because they have the openness for that, because they have the right attitude, they have the openness to they'll look for opportunities to apply it wherever they can to do their job better. And
flipping to a sales manager, does it change the way the role of a sales manager, what you look for in a sales manager, or is it the same? Is it the same framework around adaptability, or is there anything different you think about there?
At the management level, obviously the discipline around KPIs, QBRs, and harnessing people and bringing them together. But I think that was true 10 years. Well, that was true since day one, and I think that's still true today. But the sales manager, if they've got new talent coming on board, it's incumbent upon them. Like they have to get their people to work with AI, and I think that becomes critical.
I think one of our observations is in this new world, there's a bit of an onus on the sales managers to start to be that systems thinker, because you're now, you are not just getting your reps you're not just managing your reps, you're actually managing the process that your reps undertake a little bit. So I think that's a bit of a subtle shift in the role of.
Great. Yeah, that's a great insight. Yeah, I would agree with that, because then if you're coaching them on the AI, then you're also coaching them on how to do things, because the way work is being done is changing for everybody.
100%.
And so I agree with that. That it's the process itself has to be understood and explained.
So so changing gears slightly. Yeah. So you're deep in this space. So any top, I guess, tooltips? Like, where should people start? Like, I'm a CRO. I have a vision that I want to do more. How do I start to transform my go-to-market?
Well, you start with Firmable.
that wasn't the intent of the question.
So, in terms of the tools themselves,
like where would you start? Where would you start? So,
well, yeah. I mean, I think you're always looking for best in class, right?
Yeah.
And of course, it depends on the scale of the organization. All of these narratives change depending on the requirements of the customer, and it's very different being a seed stage or a Series A company to the enterprise. I think the enterprise are much more reticent, or they're more cautious about the risks they're bringing on board if they're bringing a new platform or a new AI into the company. But in terms of the stack, you're looking at platforms that are doing the lead gen very well. The data enrichment piece is absolutely critical. So you've got, as you mentioned, Clay is essential there. You've got the CRMs like HubSpot and Salesforce. You can leverage, and they themselves have their own AI and agentic capabilities. So you're trying to leverage those as well. For the meetings, you've got offerings like Gong and others where you've got that transcription piece and
kind of the capturing of the conversations,
the analysis around it, creating tasks around that. So I think a lot of the smaller organizations, I think SMEs, the Notion has become a very powerful tool as well.
Yeah, we use Notion a lot. So.
Yeah. So Notion is a great store of information and a great way to track tasks as well. So
and it integrates pretty seamlessly with your Claude.
Yeah, it's the integrations that are so beautiful
completely.
now. Something that wasn't possible maybe 10 years ago, whatever it was. The integrations between all these platforms, like Firmable going into Clay, tying up with some whatever you're with Gong, with whatever outbound you're doing in your CRM and so on. It's all seamless now.
Yeah,
it's seamless, and it's a very exciting time. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
That has been fantastic. So I guess few rapid fire questions just to close it out.
Yeah.
All right. So, what makes a great CRO?
A great CRO. So that's a challenging question because I think we're at the cusp of something right now, right? So I think that all the traditional KPIs still matter. They're looking at hard quotas. They're looking at numbers. They have to be looking at that.
Some things don't change in life.
Yeah, exactly. The markets. Where do we go? How do we land customers? All of that stays the same. But I think the process redesign is absolutely critical. Hiring people that can adapt to that. The CROs are also looking at agentic AI as a way of accelerating the decision velocity within the organization and trying to drive as much automation as they can within the processes. So you've got all the traditional stuff, all the hardcore selling,
all the old stuff plus all the new stuff.
Plus, I think in a way, those kind of the core KPIs, how you run a sales and marketing engine to generate inbound and outbound. The fundamentals of that are true today as they were 10 years ago. But I think tomorrow it's going to be around redesigning work processes, new tools,
redesigning orgs.
Redesigning orgs, tools. The tools change and agents change the game as well.
Okay. Who's the sales leader who's been most influential in your journey?
Oh gosh, that's well, I've been leading commercial at most of my companies, so it's that's a difficult question.
Okay. So, that's right. So what?
I'm kind of a self-taught kind of like the school of hard knocks.
School of lots of mistakes.
School of lots of mistakes. School of hard knocks. Just trying to figure stuff out.
Life is your greatest sales.
Exactly right. Yeah. So
that's and what's one thing you've changed your mind on in the last 12 months?
I mean, obviously, we're in the age of AI everywhere now. So, the one thing that one thing that I'm absolutely certain of now is that LLMs and AI agents are here to stay, and they're going to transform the way we work. And companies that don't adopt that are going to be left behind because the speed and scale at which you can do things with the right technologies and tools in place is something that we can't just. It's not replicable in any way in a legacy type business or a legacy set of processes. And so the speed and scale of that transformation is something that we have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and
it's a non-negotiable.
I think it's interesting. I think you, like me, like I'm energized by that. Like, I just think it's so exciting.
Yeah.
And I can sense you're really energized to it.
I am. I think because it's the future. And ever since I did my MBA days, I've had my heart and mind in technology space. What's super exciting is just the speed at which it's changed, right? Like it's the speed at which these new kind of models and new, there's a new agentic AI thing called OpenClaw. I don't know.
Yep.
And you can now install this. With guardrails,
yes.
because I've heard it cause guardrails. You can install it onto your PC. You can manage your.
I haven't been game to install it yet, so
no, don't. But it can actually start performing tasks on your laptop and changing file names and deleting things, and suddenly all your emails from the last 20 years have evaporated. So obviously, with we've got to be cautious about that. But there's so many tools out there. It's hugely exciting.
And I guess final question: will AI reduce sales headcount, or what do you think is going to happen? Are we going to, or just improve productivity?
In the near term, yes.
Yeah. In
the near term, yes. In the long term, I think the role will be fundamentally different.
Yeah.
But I can see compression there because what companies are grasping right now is I can set up an AI agent to do X, Y, Z, but within 10 years, it's going to be, I have 1,000 agents and I have an agentic AI orchestration capability that can do that basically replaces a lot of human work. And that could change everything, and that evolution, we don't know what it looks like right now. In the near term, not so much. Because again, to have 1,000 agents working, you have to be able to furnish, you have to be able to deliver data in the right way and have the right kind of processes.
So final question, I promise this is the final question. So I was sitting around the dinner table with my 17-year-old twin girls last week, and they're in year 12.
Okay.
And we were discussing the future and working in this new world of AI. What careers, what advice do you give? What if you were sitting around that dinner table with my two daughters, what would you say to them?
So I've got a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old.
So you've had the conversation as well?
So my son is he's turning 17 this year, and he's absolutely loves computer science.
Yep.
And he's a coder.
Yep.
And he's been reading the news, and he's like, well, I don't know if I can do computer science anymore because I don't know if I'll have a job when I graduate. And I had to kind of reassure him that those kind of core skill sets are valuable. Getting your undergraduate degree wherever it is, and whatever topic you love, it's an important rite of passage. But what's more important is that as you go through, you still have 3 or 4 years of learning to go. Try to make sure that you take every opportunity you can to integrate AI into whatever work that you're doing.
Yep.
And even if that's how you take notes or how you study, how you revise, how you collate information from different sources.
Yep.
AI has to be integral to all of that. You have to become a pro user. You can't be a you can't be a novice at that, right? Like the next generation have to be pro users.
And that probably applies to our teenage children and also probably our counterparts.
So, I'd love to put that question back on you because I think I need some tips as well. I'd love to hear how you would navigate that conversation.
No, it was very similar to you. So,
yeah.
So that was awesome.
Yeah.
Rakesh, it's been so great having you in here. It's so great that we could get to do this in person while I'm in Singapore. It was just kind of fascinating to hear your journey and just such a great story and how you've now moved into this. Your experiences about thinking about how to implement AI, because I think that's the the thing that so many organizations and leaders struggle with. I just see your insights on that are super valuable. So I suspect there may be a few people wanting to get in touch. So how do people get in touch with you if they'd like to? So
LinkedIn is always the most straightforward way.
Excellent. So thanks for being so candid and so practical, and it's been great to chat.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Paul.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.